Hello and welcome to JoyRide with your hosts, the Metaphysical Moms, Tiffany and Carrie. JoyRide takes you on a spin through all things spiritual and soulful, including holistic healing, energy work, and personal development. Now, here are your hosts, Tiffany and Carrie.
Hello. We do this every time. We're like, go live, quick.
Yeah,
hit the play button.
Mine won't do it. No, I was laughing because what is the PETA? PETA?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just came up. I dried my cat.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so Bobby, after
welcome to JoyRide. Carrie's going to tell us a little aside.
No,
the cat's okay. Let's start with that.
It's been crazy, Bobby. I have these two deaf white cats, and they're just beautiful and fluffy, and this is not a metaphor or anyway. So so I turn it on to get the wrinkles out of the pants type of thing, like when they sit too long in the dryer, and so I go back in and I'm cooking and hear this thump, 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 and it's like, oh shit. And I run back out and I just screamed. I mean, that was like my worst fear. She likes to get in there, I guess because it's warm. Oh, she was so dazed. And we were all, like petting her and doing all this stuff. I'm so sorry. And I hear tuna. And so it's like, tuna, thinking she's not going to eat. I mean, she's dazed. She's completely dazed. She's been thumping in the dryer. And she ate her feelings. I mean, she totally, it kind of brought her back, I think. But
so glad you didn't leave the house.
I know. It did smell like burnt fur.
So poor kitty.
Bad.
Poor girl. It was girl cat, right?
It was girl kitty. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has boy and girl kitty.
They're deaf. You don't name them. They don't come when you call.
These are those detours on the JoyRide when you just go, oh, help me.
Well, okay, so first we need to do a shout out. I'll let you do it.
Well, first, hello, everybody who is joining us on Facebook or later on YouTube. We're so glad you're here and that you found us. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Carrie.
And this is Carrie. We're the Metaphysical Moms, and stuff happens. And that's what the show is about today is crazy stuff seems to be happening. I don't want to say crazy. This is life is happening, and it can feel crazy, and it can feel like things like that totally out of the blue happen. My son in the middle of the night got up and peed on the carpet. He's never done that before in his life. He's going to be really mad at me if I tell him.
Well, we won't say which one. At least that'll kind of.
He came wandering in the living room, and
he was sleepwalking.
Yeah, well, he was awake, but he came in, and he's like, where's Mom? And my husband's like, she's right here. And I walked him back, and I said, let's go to the bathroom first, and nothing happened. He couldn't go. I was like, that's weird, because he's usually got a peanut size of a bladder.
Kill you.
And I walk into the bedroom, and the carpet's wet, and the book that we had been reading was soaking wet. And I was like, he just peed. That's never happened before.
I can't believe you're telling this story.
Well, all I'm saying is, like, random weird stuff is happening that's never happened before. It seems to be coming up a lot. That's all I can say. Just totally strange things. So if you are connecting with us on Facebook, we want to hear what's going on with you, because this whole show is about shifting energy, things coming out of the blue.
Yep.
How do we handle it? How do we take it in stride? Our things were fine, but there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff. We have just gone through Hurricane Harvey here in Houston, Florida, Georgia. I mean, 9 states have been affected by Hurricane Irma and the devastation and the flooding. It's just mind-blowing. So our hearts are with everybody that is going through a struggle right now, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual. Let's all band together and collect our energy and send everybody love. And I want to send a special shot of love here today to little Leah, our dear friend Emma Emmanuel and her husband Gerald in Belgium. Their little Leah just suddenly out of the blue can't breathe and got sent to the hospital yesterday, but they're working on it. They're trying to diagnose what's going on.
Yeah.
And so everybody take a deep
breath,
full breath for little Leah and send her that healthy breath, because it does work. And that's what we're here today to talk about, is how we can we were talking about the Ascension. And how we can move through these changes that are coming up.
And not resist them, because I think that's what it is.
And collectively help each other.
Okay, so I have to shout out to James Maxwell, and Lord of Lords, or as James said, Lord, oh Lord, because we had this dialogue on the last show. And Lord of Lords did not like our last show, and he was very vocal about it, and he was so funny. And so a couple people jumped in, and Tub jumped in, and I'm sorry, Tubbs, I don't know your first names, or I would shout out to you, but I am, you know who you are. And so everyone, he said, Lord of Lords said, we all want to hear about this energy shift and the Ascension. That's what I want to talk about. I don't want all this, girly talk. And anyway, so girly talk. So tea times, I'm telling him, kind of stay away from those if you don't like girly talk.
It's the JoyRide show. We're girly. We're metaphysical moms. But we do it with light and humor. But we do want to talk today about the energy shift and Ascension and things that are happening.
But I want to say too that I love the comments. I mean, if people are like downright nasty rude, then no. But everybody does it. Well, I actually haven't really had any. And it is, people will say, I'm not really liking this or I'm not really liking that. But by the end, they become our friends. And so I love that. So keep writing in, because we really will. It lets us get to know you, and hopefully you get to know us. And anyway, so thank you for that. Thank you for this. Because of you guys, this is the show.
Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live. We're saying hi to Milan and hi, Steve. Great rock band name, Fluffy Deaf White Cats. Good morning, Sinky Sarah.
Hi,
we
Sarah.
love you. So if you're tuning in, be sure to share the show so we can share the love.
Yes.
Okay, let's jump in.
Let's hop on in. So we have all felt this. I know, I mean, full blown. And so I started, I don't know, I just sort of went back to the eclipse, and it seems like after that things have really, really amped up. I mean, and I know it's hurricane season. I know it's the end of the summer. The Gulf waters are really warm, and that's when, of course, we get these storms. But it seems like, okay, so we had the eclipse, then basically 2 days after that, in the Gulf, this little blob formed into this massive storm. And then right after that, we had
three. We had Jose go into Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
We had Irma go up to Florida. Now Jose is hopefully going to miss all land. But then there was an earthquake in Mexico.
Yeah.
There's floods in
the Ganges.
And there's fires happening all over the West Coast.
I know, it's crazy. And we're lined up to have, I mean, not to want this, but we have now kind of zoomed in on this whole earthquake prediction. You have this guy online that you follow.
Dutch Sense is he is an amateur earthquake predictor.
But he's really good.
But he's really, really good. And he has mapped out the whole globe and how if there's an earthquake here, the energy shifts along these lines, and he predicts it to happen over here. And then at the halfway point between these two, the energy will shift. So he's been surprisingly accurate, and he was just posting today how it's getting more scientifically proven. His theories are now becoming more mainstream.
That's cool.
So, and he's like, the Earth is always shifting, it's always changing, but there's definitely been an uptick lately in the activity, volcanic and earthquake, seismic activity.
Well, and this sort of made us go, sort of, it did. I mean, we went backwards, and I just started mentally drawing this map of okay, so you've got these storms, you've got all this activity, and then I know I correlated it back. There are some great online rooms that talk about the different, the flares that come off the sun and how they impact our Earth and our
magnetic
field.
Geomagnetic field.
And it does. It really, I know for a while I was just like inside out angry, and everything irritated me. It was like, sandpaper on a sunburn. And I look back, and those were the days of the massive flares. And these are flares that are really intense. There were 3 of them, and they haven't seen this height of the flares in 12 years. 12 years. And it blasts us, and the magnetic fields, the poles, are starting to drift. And so it is, anyway, so it's making basically our shield where we are in the Western hemisphere thinner. And if you look at a map, and I'll post all this, I'll post all the links, because that way you can kind of look at it yourself and see what you think. But so it takes less of a flare to hit the Earth where we are, and we feel it so much more. The impact is really great. So it messes with you. At least it messed with me. But I know, I think I had 4 friends with migraines, yeah. Migraines, and people, feeling like they had the flu. And this morning I was cold. And it's not cold in Houston. Cold for us is
woolly sweater.
74. but we're having all of these different reactions to it. So
yeah.
That's what this show's about.
Well, and there's a lot of interpretation of all of that data. There's a lot of interpretation theories, conspiracy theories. Is it the chemtrails? Is it the HAARP? Are we, September 23rd is coming up and it's been written in Revelation. Some people are making the correlation between Revelations and September 23rd. Is that being the end, the beginning of the end? I just want to say I personally don't buy into any of that. I don't buy into the end is coming in a big catastrophic clearing of the earth, but I think people are individually going through a lot of clearing, a lot of things are coming up, and that there is a quickening of the energy, and the earth is raising its vibration, and the earth is changing, and so there's a lot more movement.
Yep.
There may be a lot more influence from the sun, and people who are empathic, especially people who feel and are sensitive to these energies, you are feeling it. And my personal journey is to ground to the earth as much as possible and match her vibration. Don't fight it, just ground and match and bring her earth energy up to you and weather these storms. Weather them so that you don't take on water during these blips, these ebbs and flows.
Those are good words. I mean,
Thank
those are very befitting. Well, okay, so if you want to hear about this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have determined, and I don't know if this is kidding, but it just occurred to me that Earth is one thing. Earth is sort of like the body, right? So you have Earth, and then you have Gaia, and Gaia is the energy. It's the mama energy. It's like you have Jesus, and then you have the Christ.
Christ
it's that right. So it's sort of the soul, and that. Oh wow. So she has raised. I mean, we passed the mark. She's raising her vibration, her
frequency.
And so when you're out of resonance with her, then everything gets kind of wonky. It's like playing a B in a
B flat.
Yeah, and it's just everything. So it kind of shakes it off, and it shakes stuff up. So that's one idea. That's something that's she's going with us or without us. And so we're starting to feel it, and we're starting to activate. And when you have the DNA activations, it's not always fun to go through that. It's not, you kind of feel like you have the flu, you hear the ringing, because your body's getting the upgrade. It's sort of like the iOS, the 10.6.
I remember we had Ashley Aliff on talking about the awakening process, and she had a whole list of symptoms, and many of them are not pleasant. But
you just ride them.
Understanding that that's part of it.
Right.
And to move through it and not be fearful. That's going to be the message of the day. Don't be fearful of this stuff.
Okay, so last night this guy, he was this preacher, and he was talking about September 23rd and these. I mean, he based it all back on the Bible when he talking about it's this. Basically, everything will be in alignment, exactly the way it was when Jesus was I cannot talk was
born.
Thank you, and so everything is supposed to be.
See, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that it was the way. There's the revelations where Virgo is lined up with
the Virgin.
Right, with the crowns on her head, and they're interpreting that to be the position of Virgo and Jupiter and Leo and the planets. But that's not all that unusual that it lines up like this. So I just don't put any, personally, I'm not but I'm not that big into astrology. I like astronomy, but not that, I don't.
But I have a thing with
some
this.
people really are.
But okay, so they're saying, okay, well, if this is the end, okay, well, maybe it is, and if this is I don't even know what they call it when he comes back, but maybe he does come back in the Christ consciousness. Maybe it's the awakening of the Christ, that's what I've always heard him coming back. That's actually what that means, is that it's awakening inside yourself.
Absolutely, in every single person.
That's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's what that is.
And he's been telling us that since day one. Jesus has been telling us that you are me. You can do all these things and more. And that consciousness lives in you, and that that's the calling, is to wake up and find that truth, that light, that power within you. It is not out there, and maybe that's part of the lesson with all of these physical destructive things, is that it's not out there. As difficult as it is to physically go through this, it's not out there. It is within here. And I know if
If you're going through it, you don't feel that way. I mean,
Yes.
but you've had your own dark nights, and
Oh, yeah.
that idea, does that stay with you when you're trying to work through things, or that fear comes up?
I didn't learn it in the middle of it because it's hard, but if you practice it and practice it and practice it, when they do come up, you can hold that ground more. But it's very hard for me to learn that in the middle of a crisis.
Yeah.
But if I've...
Because you kind of shut down.
If I've stayed centered and healthy and clear, when these things come up, I don't go under as deep or as far.
Well, I think fear is one of, unfortunately, religion and politics are the two things that are the most fear-based. You're going to hell if you do this. You're going to be put in jail, which, I mean, I know there's some certain things you can't do, like steal a car or kill a person. You're going to go to jail. But, I turn on the news and all I hear is fear-based. That these people are going to blow us up, and these people are doing this, and these people, and it's all fear-based. And because with fear, you are so easily controlled. So if you step out of that fear, what's the worst thing that can happen? You die. I mean, we all know that we go somewhere, and it's better than here. And I mean, not that I don't want to die. I think, anyway. So I think that I'm trying to cut the fear.
Losing the fear of death is by far, for me, losing that fear has been by far the most liberating feeling of anything. When I die, I simply transition back into my soul essence, and then I say, that was fun. What a crazy wild ride that was. Let me pop back into another physical body. So I definitely believe in reincarnation. I have been watching Alba Wiseman, past life and life between line regression. She puts them all on YouTube, and there's hundreds of them. It's a couple hundred of them, and they're a couple hours long each one. But you listen to these people popping in and out of their body. They're pulling different energies out. They're talking to their higher selves. They're talking to Jesus. It is so interesting.
I kept wondering why on our
Are they popping up on yours?
YouTube, they keep because you're watching it through the JoyRide show, and so it's like, why are these people all in bed? What are they doing? And it's like, okay, yeah, that's Tiffany's.
Well, I try to watch it on my personal, but every now and then I see that my YouTube, I'm on the JoyRide account, so it is. Okay, I want to say hi before because these scroll up past my screen, then I don't say hi to everybody.
Wait, is that Steve? Hold on.
That's Steve Carroll.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah, and then Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer.
Tracy.
Thank you for joining us, and Tracy.
Nora's there. Nora's going to be on the show on the 3rd.
And it's all happening right now, and people are having wild clearing out dreams. I had a dream.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of really intense dreams. Donna, hi. Sarah feels the same, and Tracy's saying it may be the end of a cycle, but not the end, in all caps. Yes, absolutely. And who would want to stay in the same cycle all the time? I know we're all reluctant to change.
Like vampires, though.
We like things to stay the same, but it is evolution, it is progression, it is evolvement and maturity, and we're being called, and we can do it.
Well, and don't you realize, though, that we don't change and we don't move to the next cycle until this one no longer serves us? Otherwise, we would just stay. See, I have this theory, and I'm sure I got it somewhere, and I've morphed it into my own, that we have actually been at this point several times.
I'm sure
whether it was
civilizations.
Lemuria or it was Atlantis, and that it was too low and we were too kumbaya, and there was couldn't get the fire, to amp up. And then so they scrapped it, and then the next time we had too much yang, and it was that, and we abused it. And so this is the time that we've actually passed the mark. All right, so I have some weird stuff. Oh yeah, we're not supposed to call it that. So my grandfather.
It's not weird. It's true. It's happening for you. It's not. Let's forget the weird label.
So my grandfather was the one that when I was 6 or 7 and he died, he came to me, and he came to actually, I think, all of us, and I remember it like it was last night. And he was a tiny man, like little guy, and he told me he'd see me again, and that he had left, and he did. He was really young too. So anyway, so he left, and then I had my dad's dad, who was like 6'5", 6'6", and he left when I was about, I think 25, and so some time after that, and my other grandfather would pop up here and there, and I didn't really even, I wasn't awake. I didn't know what all that was. So I remember one time, my little grandfather brought my big grandfather, but their souls were opposite. It was the little grandfather in spirit was
a bigger
huge.
soul.
And I remember it was all black, and he walked up with his arm around my dad's dad, and I didn't know what all that was. I was like, oh, wow, look, he brought him to me. So, and anyway, that was it. And so then a few years after that, I was at the James Van Praagh seminar, and my dad's dad came through, and he did this standing up, and he was making this example, and there were 200 plus there, and my grandfather came through, and it was really cool. And it turns out he's with me all the time, and so on and so forth. So then Emma, when I first met her, I actually met her through, I signed up for
a reading with her.
Yeah, and she said, your grandfather, and she named him by name, and she said, he's with you all the time. And so I now know that my other grandfather, my mom's dad, brought him to me, and then he left. And I asked, and I never feel him, ever. And I asked Emma, I said, where is he? And she said, he's working on the grid. I was like, of course he is. That's where he is. He's part of the Cryon, which was the first 10 books I read were his books. And they deal with the magnetic grid around the earth. And that's where my grandfather has been. And so then recently, last spring, I did my Marconics, and I had my upgrade, which is amazing. And they deal a lot with the grid, and so I keep going back to the grid. And I just about 2 weeks ago, I was trying to tune in to a situation, and I have a really hard time. I don't sit and meditate. Thank you. I for some
I'm helping
reason,
Carrie with her words today. Sometimes I
back.
can hear it. Yeah, you're good.
Anyway,
we love you.
Thank you. So he ends up. So I'm tuning in, and I asked to talk to my granddad. So what I do when I tune in is I plug into the grid and I anchor to Mama Earth, and in doing that, I was up on top of the grid, and my grandfather was there, and so I got to ask him questions. And this was after the eclipse, and he said, "Yes, you guys did it. You were able. I know it gives me
We
chills.
got a thumbs up.
Thumbs up from Papa." And he said, "You guys were able to do it, and we." We were starting to shift the grid, and this morning, before the AT&T guy got there, I was late. He was telling me that, and he was showing me that we were drifting. Like if you're facing north, we were drifting east, and that's exactly what I'd read. That the poles are shifting, and that they're heading.
You're talking to the AT&T guy about polar.
No, my grandfather. I'm sorry. I was talking to my grandfather.
Wait a minute.
Spirit. I was on the grid, and so I was kind of trying to figure out. And he told me that there are other folks from different places helping us out, and what he showed me, my grandfather showed me, not the AT&T guy, is the earth, and it looked like a sphere with straws sticking in it from every direction, and that when the eclipse came through, there was a portal that was open, and the energy, there were enough of us that anchored it. And so it's like it plugged it in, and it fed her, and she's like, let's go. Mama Earth is saying, we're doing this. And so, but it creates these conduits back and forth. So we're able to bring in the energy, and we're also able to release it. And that's what I think some of this storm stuff is. So it is, anyway, it was really, really great. So that is my confirmation.
And you've had visions, too, where you're working on, and we're calling it the grid. So we're not talking about the electromagnetic grid of the Earth.
I think it kind of is.
It's part of it?
Yeah. There's the Earth.
Because we're all electromagnetic beings.
So the Earth is not just the Earth. It's just like we are. I mean, we have the solid Earth, like the 3D Earth that we stand on and that we know because that's where we are. And then on top of that, there are, just like we have our etheric bodies and all of our different subtle bodies.
And every cell of everything is the essence of.
And the Earth has the same thing.
Energy.
And so that's why we can be on the Earth and not be on the Earth. Like where your mom is, she can be on the Earth, but it looks different than this hard Earth.
Yeah.
And so that is, so we lightened her up when we did this, when we had the eclipse. I wish I could talk.
You are
sweeter.
talking. No, you're serious. You're doing it perfectly. And I have heard that there's always light and dark. There's always going to be that polar opposite, the shift, the contrast. We're talking about law of attraction, and we need the contrast to help us decide what we want to create with our creative energy. And that worrying is spending that energy It's wasting that creative energy on something you don't want. So using your light to create love and what you do want. But are we shifting? Yeah. We're leaning to.
No, I'm looking at the camera because I can go way out here.
Her pole is shifting too.
I'll come closer.
I've lost my train of thought.
Okay.
But we were talking about, we were saying that it's, don't be afraid of these things that are happening. Use them as a clearing out, as a catalyst to look at yourself. At least that's, everything I'm saying today is just from my personal perspective. I don't have the answers to what's happening to this on a global, galactic, conscious scale.
But say it like you said it yesterday. Yesterday it was so beautiful in Houston. Right now it feels like the West Coast. It's so pretty, and it's we were under this huge 300-year-old tree.
It's our conference room.
Yeah, and we were just under it, and we had towels, and we were just laying, we were just talking. But you were talking about the puzzle pieces, and I love how you said that.
I don't remember what I said.
Okay, I'll tell you what you said. So it's like I get pieces, you get pieces. Yeah, we all get these pieces. Oh, the elephant.
Oh, okay. It was talking about how wise men can just, there's a parable about how wise men are all describing an elephant, and somebody's describing it as a rubbery hose, trunk. Somebody's got the front leg, blind. Somebody's got the back leg. Somebody's got the little tail. Somebody's got the ears, and they're all right. They're all correct. They're describing from their little perspective what the story is. And there's how many billions of people on the planet all having their own perspective, and they're all correct. So there's no fighting against anybody. You follow your perspective, and it's true for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I said.
No, it is. I love that because I could see that.
So this whole story about what's happening and what do all these earth changes mean and what are we physically feeling, it's an individual story for everybody, but as a collective, we're all moving through this together with the energy of earth, with the energy of spirit. And in some of these regressions that I've been listening, they're saying the door is open. And in past lives, maybe you've been burned at the stake, maybe you've been beheaded, maybe you've been ostracized, but not this lifetime. The door is open for you to step fully into you, and you have a green light, and their angels and entities are lining up to help you be you and step in. This is the time for you to really do it. So don't be afraid, don't fear, and follow whatever that impulse is that brings you joy. Move to it. And we're part of your tribe. We want to hear what these are for you so we can support you and whatever that looks like for you. And
it is, I think that a big, big piece, and James Maxwell, thank you so much. He turned me on to Pamela Arlyn. It's Aaralyn. And she is beautiful, and I love the way she speaks, and she's very soft, and she is Lyran. Anyway, see, all this new stuff is starting to come up for me. Every now and then I think, okay, I've kind of maxed out where I am, and then this whole other door. I actually told James, I said it's like I've been something will slam me into a rock, like with my head, and all of a sudden there's a hole. It's like, oh look, there's a whole other universe in there. So this Lyran, apparently it was and I don't know really anything about this, but it was the precursor to the Lemurians, Atlanteans, that they were the star seeds to the who are they? The Arcturians. And anyway, again, I don't know, but I love what she said. This person,
we need an expert in that field to come on, and we'll do a show. So let us know. Alice loves Pamela.
Yay! Isn't she great? Anyway, she was saying that that she had channeled she talked to Hurricane Irma, and she's a beast, but she was here and she channeled. Go look at her stuff on YouTube because it's incredible. But she talked to the Hopi Indians and the mass consciousness of Gaia, and she was saying that that they asked Pamela to go into the fear and the anger
and shame. Shame was a huge one too.
And to go into it, and you've just lost your house, and you have your baby in your hands with this soggy diaper, is what she said. And she said, "How do you feel?" And she said, "I'm angry. I'm really angry." But to walk into that anger, if I have chills, to walk into that anger and be able to transmute that, and to turn that into, okay, here we are. Okay, how do we find the love in this? Oh, wow, look at all these folks trying to help me. Look at this new start. Look at this. And to be able to move through that into this other place is grace. And that's where we're going. And that helps Gaia burn this energy, get the ick off, and transplant that with love, or move love into that space. Because I know that's what's happened here in Houston to a large
big
degree.
Way. It's still happening. There's still
people
are just
we need it.
The floodwaters are just now going down, and people are just now being able to get into their homes after 2 weeks.
So triage has been really the last 2 weeks, and now they're actually in the hospital rooms. I mean, so to speak, it is now. It's, I think, really when we all need to, really go down and help. But
absolutely,
it's
our scout troops are all organizing this weekend
that's so cool
for helping.
That's really cool. So anyway, so that's what Pamela says, and I only got halfway through because I kept making notes, and then I had to comment on her stuff, and it just I can't
Squirrel.
keep my mouth clean. Squirrel.
No,
Yeah,
it's so interesting. And Carrie and Allison on the Shiny Show, they had channeled Harvey,
yes,
and got a very similar feeling. It's just centuries and generations of lower vibrational energies,
yeah.
but it's been moved enough to clear this stuff out. And Emma channeled Harvey for us. Remember, Emma brought in Eric. And we talked about Harvey and the spiritual reasons that things like this happen.
No.
When we were all in New Braunfels, you were in New Braunfels, and Emma came in with Adam and Eric, and we talked about the reasons that hurricane. Okay, go back and watch that show. But it was along those lines of, this is just a lot of collective energy, and don't be afraid of it. Just move through it. I don't believe that we're going to be kind of getting these across the head like time and time again.
No.
To wake up. We've already got it. We heard it. We're bringing in this light energy, and I think we've tipped the scales where there's more light than dark. That's where I was going with that thought earlier, that there is more light. There'll always be a contrast for us. Don't be afraid of it, and don't buy into it.
We're human. We're supposed to. That's why we came.
And often light workers are brought here to be a light in that darkness, and so you may feel alone, like you're a light in the darkness and nobody else is having the same attitude or getting on board. Don't let that diminish your little light. You keep shining, and know that you're doing very, very powerful work here in whatever line of business you're in, whether you're an artist, a photographer, a healthcare worker, whatever you're doing. Just keep doing it with as much love as you can, and that is healing the planet on such an intense way you do not even know.
Yep, and it all starts with you. I mean, you're that one little straw that's in the middle of the earth, bringing and sending energy. So Alice, yes, that is. I heard her say something about Dolores being with her, and she must be with her quite a bit. It was she's funny. I would love to get Dolores' daughter on the show. I really, really like her.
I want to clean up and make sure. So Jennifer's asking about Irma hitting Puerto Rico. Sounded like a spirit energy screaming in a massive release. I know when Allison was channeling Harvey, she was hearing a lot of screaming just in her when she was tuning into the energy. It was just a lot of stuff moving on through. So I'm glad it's come and it's gone and it's dissipated, and let it go. So I hope that answers that question.
Oh, so
hi Shelley, hi Melanie.
Kira had asked a question on YouTube. She said on our channel, and she said that she lives in Denver, and that she had a lot of folks. Clearly, my mother is not watching on Facebook
She's
Live.
Calling
she
you.
Called. Anyway, she
Hi,
was
Mom.
saying everybody is and like everybody's just irritable and they're angry, and what is that? And so I have felt that since the eclipse, we are our shadow selves. I mean, kind of sticking with this whole theme of transmutation. Our shadow selves are really wanting to be seen and heard, because when you can. Nora always uses this word, and I love this. When you can metabolize these things quickly, you move through them, and they just kind of drop off, and they're gone. And so I think that's what's happening. People are just feeling that, that angst that.
So what can we do about that? Is there anything to do about it?
Yes, there is. You see it, you walk in it, you don't get stuck. You gotta keep walking, keep moving. Don't stay in that, and
don't judge it.
Right, don't judge it, and don't like if I'm walking through it with you, don't sit and go, don't do more damage, maybe take a look at it first inside and say, okay, why do I feel this? Because it's just a catalyst. Someone that cuts you off. It's not really their fault. They may not have even known you were there, but by you flipping them off and yelling at them and then wanting to chase them down with your car, you're going to do more harm and you'll have more to deal with. And so you just sort of sit in that and, like you said, I love that. Don't judge it. Just be in it and wonder where it comes from, how to move through it, just kind of look at it. Just sit with it and see what pops up.
Yeah. And of course, my go-to tool is my EFT, my tapping, because when you are feeling the anger or the shame or the frustration or worry, whatever it is for you, it's a place for you to do something with it other than acting on it. It's a place for you to
go pound on your face.
Yeah, but to move your own energy and find out where it is in you, maybe where you developed it or where it's come from, or if you're empathically bringing it in from somebody else, and move through it before you act on it in your relationships or in your in your 3D world. Act on it, move it through, do your work on it internally first, whether it's meditation or people who love law of attraction, just shifting yourself to a higher vibration thought. And you can't go from here to here often. You have to go from anger to frustration to acceptance and then you find peace and joy in it. So for anybody who's not familiar with the law of attraction, look up abrahamhicks.com, and they have it's a chart of emotions, and you move yourself up the scale of emotions.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that's really true. And that's what Pamela said, is that you can't go from shame to joy, because then you're just, so yesterday I was writing this thing and I said, oh yeah, you have to feel it to...
You have to feel it to heal it.
I was like, I like that tagline. But you really do have to feel it to heal it. You can't just ignore it. You can't just turn on the TV and wish it away. I used to do that. I would turn on, like if I had a thought I didn't like, I realized I'd change the station. Let's just change it instead of feeling it.
Yoda would say, named must your fear be, before banish it you can.
Named must your fear be, before banishing it you can. I love it. It's the only voice I can do.
I can do that one. I'm going to drop the mic now.
I can do that one, and I can do the one from Monsters, Inc. You didn't file your paperwork.
Oh, that has never happened.
I love that.
Oh, thanks for joining us on Facebook Live.
Thanks for sharing, guys. Thank you.
Krista, I still have your book on the front seat of my car. Krista was the one who won Mama Medhus's book last week on the show, and I have it all enveloped, so I just need to drop it in the mail to you. So I will go do that after the show today.
I'm so glad you took that on. I hate going to the post office. I really don't.
I think that's why it's still sitting in my car.
Christmas gifts from last year are still probably in my car somewhere. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so do you want to hear about the backside of all this with the Ascension? Mm-mm. You don't?
Yes, of course.
You don't? Are we done? We're going to lunch now? I have to go meet the
This goes by so fast. We only have 20 more minutes.
I know. Okay, so David Wilcock and Corey Good. I like them a lot. And so from what I understand, I'm relatively new to their world. What I understand is a while ago, there were the benevolent beings who put these big, like Jupiter-sized, these big spheres and in place. And so these solar flares that would otherwise knock out our grid, knock different things, give us these blackouts. When different things hit the Earth, they were cushioned by these spheres. So they were removed. The spheres were removed. I'm not sure when, but relatively recently. So that's another reason we're feeling these energetic effects. And let's see, so Space Weather, isn't it spaceweather.com, I think has quite a lot about the solar flares and what's actually happening energetic, and there's some great apps.
Yeah, there's a lot of apps that you can, if you're interested to track this about space weather and how we are literally, we're orbiting our sun, but then our sun is moving through the galaxy and the Milky Way is rotating through space. So we're traveling millions of miles an hour through space right now.
And isn't that fun?
Into different solar weather. And
that's a real deal.
It does affect us.
Scientific deal.
It totally does affect us.
So,
but it will pass.
Back to my story.
Yes, sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure. No, it is. So then David Wilcock talks about. Don't say it.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, fine. So he talks about this. So there are 30. Stop it.
Inside joke.
Stop it. Like so obvious. So he talks about the 35 indigenous, just these religious, ancient groups like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, 35 groups that all talk about the Ascension, and they all talk about it in the same way. There's a 25,000 year cycle, and that was the whole 2012 thing, but they pushed the mark back, and that they all say it happens in a flash, that there is a solar flare, that the DNA is activated from the sun, and that there's a flash, and boom, we're upgraded. I may be botching this, but it is, but they also say that it can happen gradually, incrementally, so that we don't, lose half of us in the process. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, that speaks to the New Earth concept that for people who are very interested in Dolores Cannon and the convoluted universe and all of her massive volumes of work.
She came out with her 5th one. She was almost done with it when she crossed.
She has massive volume of work that you can read about, but her...
Hi, Daryl.
Her concept of the New Earth, the higher vibrating New Earth, that is, if you think of heaven on earth, that's what it would be like. And then there's the other earth that is still very much stuck in the greed, the power, the 3D, ego, and that they both probably still simultaneously exist, and you get to choose through free will which one you want to go to. So there's a whole lot of information about that. So I wonder if you're activated, you're suddenly on your new
path,
new earth.
So here's the deal with that. So there are these timelines and parallel timelines, and I've experienced a glitch or two. They're really interesting. One day I was driving down the freeway coming back from New Braunfels, and all of a sudden I saw this glitch. It was like this little glitch. I was, you're just driving, and there's this little glitch. It's like, ooh, that's cool. Anyway, so you have all of these choices that you make, and I'm sure all you guys know this, but these choices that you make, and that will bear off a timeline. And that actually happened. I mean, did you pick this school or that school? Did you pick that guy to date or that guy? Did you marry this guy or that guy? But the more energy you put into the timeline you're on, the other ones just fall away. But there is somebody out there rolling around on that other timeline, which I think is fascinating. And I was telling my son the other night, they went back to school this week. Hallelujah.
That's what I posted. Hallelujah.
And so so I was telling him, I said, here's the thing. You get to choose anything. I mean, you get to just choose any timeline you want. You can do anything you want. And he said, well, Mom, I heard that the school does not exist. I said, it doesn't until you're there. So where I'm going with this is, if you, I know, but if you, because all we have is right now, right here, right? So how do we know that our little right now, right here, where it is in space? Like, is it on the new Earth? Is it on, the 2D Earth? Where is it?
4D Earth,
4D Earth, right. So that's where I think that idea of you can create your own, where you are, you can be wherever you want to be, is in that idea, at least for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if you can imagine it,
then it is.
It is. It exists. So if you imagine yourself jumping into all these different versions of you in different scenarios or relationships, or with money, without money, different weight, size, bodies, whatever. If you can imagine it, it exists. And the more you energetically line up with being that person, that frequency, then it has no choice but to develop. And you can say, well, how is that possible? You don't have to worry about that part. You just line up with the version of you that feels the truest, the most authentic, and watch it come to manifestation. Watch it physically. You're physically pulling that creative energy out of the ether and developing it into a 3D physical reality.
It's true.
And so with these storms, with these big shifts, if we energetically send it love and gratitude and optimism and excitement for evolution, for taking our next step, then we can transmute that into becoming that for us. We can, if we collectively all get on that same page, which I know everybody here is already doing, but just in these times where I feel people are getting overwhelmed and weary and stressed out, just, you're not alone. We're all doing this collectively. And even if you get off track, that's okay. We'll just all get back on. And in your way, in your version, and whatever gift you have to give, you just keep doing that.
Okay, so
Wow.
Sarah, this is to you. I just heard in my head, when you are weary. You know the Simon and Garfunkel?
Yes.
Feeling blue? Yeah, anyway, Sarah would like that.
A bridge over troubled water.
Yes, that's what it was. Seriously, I love that song. You know what I heard? And I remember Ainsley MacLeod, he played this for us one night at one of his workshops. The Beatles song, and I was never into the Beatles. I thought I had to choose between Elvis and the Beatles, and Elvis won, of course. And you know that song, and apparently John Lennon channeled the whole thing. The one with...
I'm thinking Let It Be, but I don't think that's what you're thinking.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
I
I
love
heard
that
it today,
song.
and it was like, oh, I love that song.
It's so simple.
I love there's a whole new world of music that I have not experienced. The Beatles. Charles, so
You've
okay.
not experienced the
No.
Beatles?
So when
I have like the mega volume set you are welcome to dive into.
Thank you. So when our first was about to be born, you know, everybody likes to say, okay, I'm going to bring candles in and my birth plan in and all this stuff. Whatever. It didn't work. You know, I just wanted my baby and me to be okay. But Charles said, okay, honey, do you want to, we can do, you know, a whole soundtrack. All right, fine. So he starts playing things. And I was like, who's that? I love that. He's like, the Stones? Apparently I had this aversion to British rock. And he's like, and I said, who's that? He's like, George Strait? It's like, how do you not know these things? Because I was really into like Ray Charles and Sam Cooke and, you know, Elvis and stuff. So yeah.
I worked at a radio station, rock radio station, so I'm kind of indoctrinated into all the classic rock.
I love classic rock, like Steve Petty, and I just, anyway, I like all that. But for some reason, the British stuff just went.
That's why we have Archangel. She Talks to Angels as our soundtrack, because we both love them.
So we're trying to get Bonnie McCliss on the show, Bonnie, and she was so funny because I met her way before any of this, and she's just magnificent. And I said, you know, you should do a show, and you should use She Talks to Angels. I'm so glad she didn't use that. Then we couldn't use it either. So okay, so let's how much time do we have? Okay, we have 12 minutes. So
did you watch that movie The Day the Earth Stood Still?
couldn't find it.
Like, it's a Keanu Reeves, and it's I'd be interested if you guys have watched that movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, where the aliens come in all these spheres, kind of like an ark. They're taking the animals off because they're going to save Earth from us.
We're a library.
And we're all like, wait, we can change. They're like, no, we've been trying, we've been asking, we've been begging, the light workers have been here, nobody's changing. And one of the characters talks about when you get to that evolutionary critical point, that's when you change. That's when you get to that point where things are, you're kind of a make or break. That's when people are actually motivated to make the change. So I don't know if we're moving into that kind of phase. I know it's the age of Aquarius, you know. Again, you're getting back into that whole, the shift in the whole consciousness. But maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point that we're all being asked to step up, and we all have everything we need inside to do it.
We really do. But you get that whole age thing, right? By the way, I want to address Jennifer's comment. But you get that whole age. I mean, like the age of Aquarius, the Piscean age, is that those are the 25,000 year cycles.
Yes.
And that we move. And did you know? Okay, so Edgar Cayce, or maybe it's David Wilcock. They're the same. But he was talking about, and it was exactly like 2,061 years. There was, it was Hitler. It was Hannibal and then Hitler. And they were almost to the day born one cycle or one evolution apart. They look alike. They did the same things. It was really interesting how that cycle repeats itself. And that I may have just totally squirreled that because I was reading, but it was.
Well, there's always energy coming to Earth. So whether we're getting these high vibrational beings come back as Christ consciousness, or these other beings, and even
catalysts.
Yeah, the catalyst energies that are coming through to make us to give us change, to give us these opportunities to step up and really be and act. And Marianne Williamson had just posted a video recently saying these are the times where we can't just bless it with love and light and be on our way. That's all wonderful, but bless it and then act from your heart. Act with love. Don't act from fear, but put yourself into action also with whatever gift that you have been given.
Right.
Move into it. Use that energy to change things in the way that you want. Create that earth that you want. Oh,
she's not listening either.
She's not listening either. People are calling us today. Okay, let's talk to Jennifer.
Okay, Jennifer. She just posted a few months ago. I felt like, well, I guess you guys can see this too. She was heading in the right direction, then she backslid. And I don't know. I've often wondered that if it's a timing piece, because there may be people that are integral in the next phase of your life, that they have to be in that same place. I don't know. What do you think?
I often feel like I backslide into old energy and old patterns and habits, but usually I do it with a little bit more awareness than I had before.
That's what
and
I was
I don't
gonna say.
stay there quite as long or go as far as deep or have the same behavior that I did last time. So it's okay. I think everything is energy, and everything is moving in a wave. There's highs and lows. It's not a steady this. Maybe it's an up. Can you see my snake?
No,
it's
I
an
can't.
Uphill.
It's like a stair stepper.
It's a stair stepper. So sliding back into that old energy, totally get it. Just recognize it with awareness, and you will not believe that awareness is not just the first step. It's like the quantum first step. And then you can start really looking at it and seeing why is that old energy feeling more comfortable? Why is the bigger energy or the new thing feeling scary? What's making you choose that? Because it is a choice. A habit is only a habit if you don't know you're doing it. When you do know you're doing it, it's a choice. You're like, I would not choose that. You're like, you just got to go in there and start asking the questions all within. Why would I choose that? That's Bashar.
Well, but
I love me some Bashar.
But I also think that what she's saying is that it's like, why, I think she's right. I think that when you see it, that's huge, because then, like you say, then it's a choice. I mean, this energy right now, especially in the last month, has been so black and white, and it is easy to fall back into that. I mean, just last night, I had just this. But I removed myself to go take a bath. It's like, okay, I'm not going to be irritable and kind of make everybody else not so happy around me, and I stepped out. But it is that, why is this coming up? Well, clearly I've not cleared it. This feeling has. I don't like this feeling. I don't like what I'm thinking and where my mind goes and where my heart goes. And so I have to address it. And I have not had time to sit in it and think about it and see where I want to go with it. But I know that realizing it, I had a huge aha, and that I'm getting closer to being able to rectify it. And so, and as far as your healing, I think that that's coming. I think we have such a need and stepping in, and I'd have to ask you, Jennifer, what is the next step to shift careers? What would the viable next step be for you? What is something you could take action on?
Yeah, and sometimes the timing isn't quite right yet. Maybe there's some other part that has to come into play before that next door opens. So use this time. Kira always used to call it fallow ground. When there's a time when things are still, there's not a lot of energy moving, but that's a time when the rain is raining on the ground and the worms are moving around, and it's actually getting the soil ready for that next step. And then all of a sudden spring comes and it's all into action. So maybe this is a time for reflection and going in, but we're right there with you. There's no judgment on whether you're nailing it every single day or some days you fell off the wagon. It's okay.
Well,
it's
there's
okay.
no falling off the wagon. We're not perfect, and I don't think we're supposed to be. I think if we can nail it most of the time, that's a pretty successful thing. But isn't it cool though that you feel the difference, that you
even that awareness.
I'd rather be over there, and then you recognize it when you're there, and it's how do you, and that's what and I know they talk about this. Abraham talks about this. It's like, how do you get back into that space? Because I don't want to get into it in a fake way, fake it till you make it. But at the same time, I don't want to let myself marinate in the angst. So there is a way of having, because it does feel good sometimes to be just pissy.
Yeah.
And it's easy to stay in that space. And
well, even they say even Esther she's out of her vortex, they say 10% of the time, and she's in her vortex 90% of the time. So even Esther Hicks, who's channeling Abraham, like all the time. She has her days and she has her issues and they have
she's
problems.
human.
But she's also trusting that that's part of it. That's giving her a platform to create her next vision of what she wants to do and what she wants to be. So Jennifer, I would take this time to use your imagination to create the things that light you up inside, that just feel so delicious and exciting. And what would that look like? What would that feel like? And then if you feel called to action, or if that next step falls into place, you'll be ready to step into it. So maybe there's something that's just not quite ready for it.
That's how I think I really saw it with my husband. I kind of dated the wrong guy a lot until everything lined up for me with Charles. And I had a girlfriend that's boyfriend, then a husband, was just wonderful. I mean, they would go camping and he was sweet and he liked to cook. And then Stacy's husband, same thing. I mean, just a sweet, really neat guy. And I'd never thought of a guy like that. Like a man, a really great guy.
Had a 3D role model of it?
Yeah, I had no idea that that's even what I wanted. And not them. I mean, they were just such sweet guys. These are,
But they represented it for you.
Right. And then I met Charles and I saw it. And it's like, oh, I recognize that.
Yeah. It exists.
Yeah, exactly.
You created it.
And did you know, have I said this before? I know you know this, but so my birthday and Charles's dad's birthday are the same. And Charles's birthday and my dad's birthday are the same. Tell me that's not a signpost.
A coincidence. Mm-hmm. Coinkadink.
Yep.
Okay, guys, we are just down to our last few minutes. So we want to thank everybody who's joined in.
Hi, Nicholas.
Gail and Alice, and thank you, everybody. Birdie, hi, Birdie. She's energized and changing. And Daryl and Shelly.
Daryl's getting ready for Round Top.
Oh, Daryl has a wonderful shop here in Houston. So
my whole house is from
Round
there.
Top is a big antiques, furniture, really cool.
One of the biggest in the nation.
Yeah, where people just descend on this town for a week. And
it's a cute little Texas
good luck
town.
with that. I know you're going to be really busy, Daryl, but your creative energy is very inspiring. Carrie's house is full of it. It's beautiful.
Well, Daryl was on the show, and he is phenomenal. And he sent us this video, telekinesis, which is really, really, really rare.
He's getting good at it, too.
He's getting
being
good.
able to move things.
And now he doesn't even have to use his hands.
Oh,
he was telling me he
awesome.
can just look at it and he can
Hi,
spin
Nicholas.
things. Yeah, hi, Nicholas.
Hi, Nicholas.
And we're supposed to go fishing.
Go fishing, and our kids have been begging for dry ice, so we need to check in with you.
Blow
this is
things
Elise's son-in-law. So a lot of changes, guys. Part of it just feels like it's earth moving and shaking, and my best advice is to go out there, get your feet in the grass, settle, be within, ground, connect, and spend some time just reflecting on your part of it and what you can do to transmute that inner alchemy, transmute your own vibration, and you have no idea how that affects the planet, the globe, and the Galactic Federation.
Look at you throwing out those big words. I love that. I have that's you. That's the stuff I read. So I have been called to go inside and be quiet, and I have a very hard time being quiet and not moving around a lot and leaving and just leaving my house and it's so funny because I keep going there and it's like no. And I've also had this person with me a lot recently, and it was the first time that I had one day I turned something on. I turned something on, and it was, and I left the grocery store, and I hear it, and I feel this. And it's like, all right, you're there, And then he started to talk, and it wasn't human, which was kind of interesting, but it was. I think grounding. I think going inside. I think being quiet.
I've been sleeping outside. We literally have a screened-in shelter type thing. It's not a tent, it's just a screen, and my whole family, we've been sleeping outside. The weather's been phenomenally beautiful here in Houston, so I've been literally can't get enough of it.
Well, and I think I just laugh at that. Do you realize that after Hurricane Ike and we were without electricity for 2 weeks, it got cool. Right after that, we had this weird cool front, and same thing here. I mean, it wasn't right after the storm, but not too long after, because it's
we've had 2 weeks of
cool.
bone dry, cool, perfect weather.
High
it's almost like a
80s.
little makeup sex or something. I don't know.
That's funny. So it is. Anyway,
we have to say goodbye. We could keep talking forever. But thank you for everybody who's checked in, and again, sending a big, deep cleansing breath to little Leah, who's in the hospital right now. Love to Emma. And Shiny Carrie's there with her, sending her all her good juju too, so it's good. And all our people who are dealing with floods and hurricanes and fires. We love you.
We love
We're
you.
sending
And
you love.
Guys, thank you for
And everybody
being with
else who's
us.
doing good. You just keep doing good.
and report back.
Yes. Bye.
Yay.
I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful